Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you are doing great. Man, it's early in the morning and the Brohawk's getting angry. Man, she's getting a little long. I can't wait to see some of those comments. You should cut your hair. I'm like, you should grow some. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing great. We're going to talk about, hold on. It is so rude, and he just drinks his coffee in front of the camera. Hey, so we're going to talk about real estate. We're going to talk about an epiphany a buddy of mine had and texted me, not a rant, but it was a really well thought out text. And I'm going to read it to you because it's about real estate. It's about him wanting to get his roof done and really looking and figuring out the scope of how big this real estate collapse can be and how it's going to lead to a financial collapse because of the financing that's going on, not only in the actual real estate itself, but in the construction industry. Now, you guys know that I own a construction company. We've scaled it back. Essentially now we're briefcase contractors. And the reason why is because we see all this craziness ahead and we're having to consolidate because we're having all kinds of issues with getting parts, with getting good labor to finish jobs and stuff. And to be honest with you, I don't want to take a job that I cannot finish. And none of my partners want to do the exact same thing. So we're scaling back, and we still have essentially a subsidiary that one of our contractor of record has another construction company, so we can put work through them, but we're having to scale back because we see all kinds of issues. It sounds funny, but we're preparing with our money to pounce and pick up assets from other construction companies as they start to fail. And that's going to start coming here pretty soon as real estate starts to drop off of a cliff, which right now it is in the fact that listings are exploding, okay? So here we go. Let's just dive in. I'm going to stop halfway through or a couple times through this tweet, or not tweet, but hey, by the way, follow me on Twitter, @Economy Ninja. This is a shameless plug. Here we go. Ninja, I've spent the last 2 days talking to roofing contractors. I need a new one. The more I dig in, the more I am convinced this bubble is bigger than 2008. Yes, it is. I have been quoted anywhere from 18 grand by the local family roofing business to 65 grand from the 36 region million juggernaut pushing, oh, okay, here we go, a massive roofing company pushing $1,000 monthly payments and financing for their $65,000 roof. All right, let me stop here. First off, contractors figured something out a while back. Well, actually, it wasn't contractors to start with, it was financing companies. Financing companies are always trying to figure out a way to get their grubby little hands in your pocketbook, right? And how to make money off of your inability to save money. And I'm sorry, I couldn't put it any better way, but so many people can't wait to save up and pay cash, right? Which a lot of times you can negotiate a better deal when you have cash. But a lot of people can't wait. Roofing is an interesting story because roofing, when it comes to real estate, if you need a roof, you need a roof. You know, you can only put tarps on top of your roof for so long until you're like, I need to resheet this and put new comp on it or whatever. Because either it's leaking and I don't like a wet bed, or maybe some people do. That's just weird. Weird thought. Anyway, point being, I don't like a wet bed. I don't like a wet bed. And I got to get it fixed, or I'm selling the house and I can't sell the house unless somebody has cash. And since really most people don't have cash, it's all a farce. The mortgage company, the lender, is going to say, hey, you need this thing fixed. So roofing contractors and financing companies know this. So financing companies used to start going around. It really picked up about 10 years ago when I noticed that financing companies were actually soliciting contractors saying, hey, we can open up a whole new realm to you of business by you offering financing. And you don't have it. And the contractors are like, I can't do that. I'm working day by day. I make just enough to pay my guys. A lot of contractors, that's really how they do business. They just make just enough, because what happens, they extend themselves. They don't have, anything in the savings account. I talk about this in my course about how to crash-proof your business. Have money off to the side. Have a written policy and procedures plan if your sales drop by 50% in a month, what you're going to do with that money so you don't lose your mind because you're losing money, right? And so what happens, these finance companies said, don't worry, we'll take care of everything. We'll step in, we'll do everything. You just need to have them fill out this form. We'll have your name on it. Or a lot of the times they even say, look, it'll just have our financing name on it. It's not your company. We'll just handle it. And we'll be the intermediary between you and the buyer. Once we say, hey, they're good to go, the money's in your account. And so the contractor figured out, hey, I could get a ton more business, and a lot of the time I could actually charge more because the consumer doesn't have any clue. They're just like, all they care about is the payment, right? So they go, hey, look, I offer financing, and I saw this with a bunch of friends of mine that were contractors. They were getting squeezed out of jobs because the contractor they were going up against offered financing. So it was a win-win for the contractor offering financing and the person doing it, because they're like, I don't got to come up with any money out of pocket. I can still spend my money on a vacation, and all I got to do is come up with, what is it, $500 a month or something like that. And they were getting squeezed themselves because they're getting into deeper debt, right? So that was one problem. Well, then contractors started to go, wait a minute, they were getting really big, and they said, wait a minute, why am I'm watching these lenders make all these initial fees right up front, like possibly a down payment, and then they're getting cash flow. Why don't I step into this? And I've seen contractors actually fund themselves, which is actually a really cool thing in and of itself, because if you're that big and you can finance your own financing for people, that is killer. As a business owner, you're building cash flow and stuff, but there are some very serious weaknesses and holes to that, and I believe it's going to crash both financing companies and contractors. So let's dive back into this text now. So he says, over financialization of the construction industry by people tapping into home equity for upgrades or repairs, costing 5 or 6 times more than materials if you buy it yourself, is insane. That is true. And my buddy knows that he's very talented and he could do a lot of this work himself, but sometimes you just can't, especially roof. I've done a couple roofs, and my back was screaming so bad I never wanted to do it again. So sometimes you just got to pay. I actually have been trying to get a new roof in this part of Idaho since I bought the home back in 2018, but contractors were backed up 1 to 2 years because so much building was going on, even last year. I've had 3 roofers tell me they could do it next week or the week after. New build cancellations are through the roof, literally. And that is true. New build cancellations are happening because of mortgage rates exploding. So people are pulling out of these new home builds. Sometimes they're even giving their deposit away. I actually did that back in 2006. I got to make a video about that because the cost of borrowing the money for that house is too expensive. So what's happening is these roofing contractors are now coming out and going, crap, we have all of a sudden openings because we were slated to go do this 20 house development, and half of them got canceled. So that's actually happening. Said 6 months ago, they were saying 6 to 12 months out, but now they're saying we can do it in a couple weeks. And Idaho has been one of the hottest markets in the nation. I am thinking this will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. It just hit me how over-financialized and big this bubble really is. First question, out of some of these companies, how low do you want your monthly roofing payment? Okay, let's address that right now. If you are forced to do a roofing payment, how do I say this the best way? Because it all depends. I've done jobs for people, like, we need a new roof right now. Like, well, why? And they say, well, because the inspector told me. Well, let's go look. First off, is it leaking? Did we just have rain? Yes. Is it leaking? No. We go up into the attic, we look around. I don't see any water damage. And I've done this with a handful of customers, and I've turned them into lifelong customers. And not only that, they refer me to other people. Not me and my company, because I'm just one of the partners. So we go out there and we go, okay, well, what are we looking at? And usually it's perception. Like an inspector comes out and they feel when you buy the house that I've got to put something on the paper and the house is immaculate. I had an inspector do that with my house once. He goes, I'm not joking. He came up to me. He's all, I've never seen a house in better condition, but I've got to put something. And I'm like, okay, why? He's all, because you got to justify your money? And he goes, yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay if you've checked everything, you find nothing wrong. But he was like this house is clean. Well, a lot of people do this roof. Yep, roof needs to be replaced in X amount of years because the shelf life of the composition roof or whatever type of roof it is, right? Unless it's obviously like tile or something like that. And so a lot of times we can go, look, you don't need it right now. You can put this off, right? Another thing is what I tell people is there one spot that can be repaired? One aspect of one plane, I'm totally blanking out right now, but one portion of the roof where you don't have to do the entire thing. We've done that for people too. So my point is keeping costs super low. Now, I can't answer that question of how low can we keep the payment? And the reason why it's because it's about your budget, right? It's about how much you can afford. But this is where I think, and actually I'm gonna read this section and then I'm gonna answer it where I think it's gonna get really dangerous. It says, it seems many roofing companies are ran like car dealerships now, and it's all about the monthly payment. So there are literally people making $1,000 roof payments now on top of $2,000 mortgages. And in some areas, I am sure you have people making $2,000 roof payments on top of $6,000 mortgages. And just insane the more I think about this and look at the data. Little side note, when I was selling a ton of solar systems as my side gig, Solar City, when it was Solar City and not Tesla, figured out, hey, let's become a roofing contractor, because why are we giving up all of this available money? We'll become the roofing contractor. If they need a roof, we'll supply that and we'll set it out in monthly payments and actually put it into the purchase agreement. It was actually an awesome product, you know, as long as you got quoted the right thing. But a lot of people just go out and get one a quote, maybe two. They don't really go out and get 5 quotes. Because you really need to know if you're paying a good price or if you're getting taken, right? Well, my buddy is absolutely right. People are paying these payments on top of payments. Well, here's where it gets dangerous, okay? I think that right now what you're seeing, because mechanics liens are a big deal with contractors. When you don't pay a contractor, you could put a lien on it. Well, in this instance, most of the time, 90% of the times you finance a roof being put on or a home repair from a contractor, it's 90%, it's going through a third party. It's going through a lender, right? And so it's not being done by the contractor. Well, the contractor gets paid by the originator of the loan, the people that, you know, the financier. They walk away, they're done. There's no lien put on your house if you don't pay. And a lot of instances, depending on if these are, you know, $50,000 loans, the loan company is not putting a lien against your property. So you still just have a first mortgage, possibly a second, and you've got this loan out for a roof, and it's unsecured, right? Well, this is where it becomes dangerous for the economy, not for the borrower. Because if the borrower defaults on it, it's like, all right, we'll try and catch the money from me. Either I claim bankruptcy or I'm just, you know, you're just gonna send me to collections, right? Since it's unsecured, there's no way of that either the contractor's good, he walked away, right? He got his money. But the borrower, they have no way to obtain that money, right? Because it could be resolved through or wiped away through bankruptcy possibly, right? So what you could see is, like my buddy is saying here, people have got $1,000 roof payments, $2,000 mortgages, and then they can't pay something. What are they gonna stop paying? More than likely, they're gonna stop paying the payments on the roof repair that went on. And the loan company is just gonna be out. They're gonna be out. Well, the thing is if this happens on a broader scale, a much larger scale, what happens is you start seeing these financing companies start falling. Boom, boom, boom. And this is what led in the MBS market to Lehman Brothers, ultimately both Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers, especially Lehman Brothers, collapsing, closing their doors, right? And my buddy is absolutely right. This is much bigger than 2008. Why? Because this is yet one more example of a type of lending that barely existed in the last real estate run-up when I was buying up houses hand over fist. Contractors were not set up to provide financing for you, all right? So it was nothing like today. So that's that much more money swirling around that's owed, that is about to be, people are just gonna say, sorry, I can't make that payment anymore. I'm done. And that's what my buddy's talking about. It's gonna be that much greater. And then, you know what, we'll talk about this other part of the text is it talks about RVs and all kinds of stuff. That's a whole other video, but I wanted to give you guys an idea of how much bigger this is than when we were in the run-up coming into the Great Recession, and why exactly we're gonna see a bigger crash in the financial sector because of people that leveraged even higher. All right. Okay, guys, I hope you got something out of this. I really appreciate you hitting the thumbs up, like button, all that stuff. Guys, start that side hustle. Start looking at ways to make money outside of your job right now. Diversify your cash flow. All right, with that being said, the Economic Ninja is out.